Hello, and thank you so much for dropping by. This is a video documentation of not quite a documentary. It's going to be shorter than that, but a documentation of a really amazing healing I experienced. And I'd just like to say, the word healing has so many different meanings, and what I'm talking about is a spiritual healing, or a spontaneous, just literally removal of the illness without sort of adding any kind of treatment to it. So I had chronic swelling of the knees, and I think the medical term is knee effusion. Um, and I had had it for a while, and it was to the point where I had to be very careful going up and down stairs. I couldn't bend my knees at all, but stairs would aggravate it, and I would have to go one step at a time. Um, this was very not it's not fun, period, and of course, it limited my physical activities that I could do, um, and this was even more not fun as I was 39 when this, got very severe. Actually, I think I was 37 or the healing happened when I was 39, and I was, I think, 37. So, when it got critical. And so again, if you can imagine being 37 years young and having trouble walking upstairs, it was really and having, very limited physical activity, nothing really strenuous. Um, so I went to the doctor, and I believe that's the technical term for the diagnosis that I got, and he said it was the kind of knee effusion or swelling of the knees that I would just have for my whole life, unless I think he said surgery was an option, that there was fluid basically trapped in a certain part of my knee that was causing pain, and there was no way to get that fluid out. There was a way to manage it, which was he sent me to physical therapy. And so there were certain stretches I could do that would help it relax a little bit. And he also prescribed this, it's called capsilium. And it's this ointment that you put on your knees that it burns actually. When you put it on, I actually had to wear rubber gloves because it burns your skin in essence. And I would rub that around my kneecaps um, 3 times a week and do these stretches about 3 times a week. Over time, it got to the point where I only had to do it twice a week. But in essence, this is something that the doctor said I was going to need to be doing for the rest of my life, unless I wanted to have surgery, um, which I didn't. So, and the surgery I think would just relieve it. I don't think there was a permanent cure per se. So, that's where I was at, and then I was introduced to this form of spiritual healing that was taught by that man, Bruno Groening, and the essence of this practice was to take in life energy and to have faith that anything is healable. Now, when I found this, I was very skeptical, very skeptical. Um, Skepticism was sort of my philosophy of life. Was like um, I called myself a devout agnostic. Maybe there's a God, maybe there's not a God, but there's definitely no proof either way. And I didn't really believe in things that were supernatural, as it were. However, this knee thing, plus 5 or 6 other major medical concerns that by the time I was 39, when I found this, my body was just a wreck, led me to some openness to at least try it. Um, so I had the first thing that healed was I had an eye condition that was really bad, and I'll make a video about that sometime. So after the eyes were the second thing that healed. The first thing that healed was a burn on my thumb, which also the doctor said I would have for the rest of my life. It was a second degree burn that healed. And so after that, I was very convinced that, wow, this is real. My agnostic beliefs were actually not the full picture of reality. There is something. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that this healing technique had done something that was medically impossible to my body. Then my eyes healed, which the doctors had also said uh, was impossible. And so at that point, I was very convinced that this was very real. And so I was kind of just trusting that at a certain point in time, the knees would heal. And they did. But interestingly enough, before they got better, they got worse. I would just be walking down the street and there would just be pain of really intensity. Now, normally I didn't, that was not, I could walk fine, but they would just like hurt really bad. But I was prepared for that because one of the things that Bruno Groening talked about was that when something is healing, sometimes it can get slightly worse, like it can flare up, and that can actually be part of the healing process. And having had these other two healings, I was pretty, um, trusting that just kind of trusting with this guy. This he's not. I didn't meet him. By the time I heard of his teachings, he was no longer in his body. But I was just kind of trusting that, like, hey, this dude seems to know what's up. Um, and so when those flare ups would happen, I would just be like, everything's okay. It's just a regulation. That's what he called it. That a temporary flaring up of a symptom as a healing is happening. He called it in German Regulungen, which means regulation, reorientation, rebalancing. And he said sometimes it can be painful, that a symptom can flare up before it heals. So that happened a couple of times. And then one night, it happened so bad that I couldn't even walk. And there was a moment of fear, like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, it was the worst pain I'd ever felt. And I started to panic. And I was like, no, this is just regulation. I've heard like I've heard other people talk about this. This is just, it doesn't seem like it, but this is part of the healing. I don't accept the thought that this is like the knees are getting worse. They are healing. And with that, the pain was gone. The pain left. I went from not being able to walk to being fine in a matter of seconds. And I'd like to highlight that was one of the pain was so intense that it hurt to even move. And I don't think I've ever felt pain like that before. And then it just was gone. And then from then on, I didn't need to do the stretches anymore. Stairs didn't hurt my knees anymore. I and I didn't need the stretches or the cream. And there were lots of yoga poses that I couldn't do anymore that now were just effortless. It was gone. And that's what's meant by a spiritual healing when not through medicine, not through, physical therapy, not through herbs that something is healed, but where the illness is just in a sense like taken out. And that's what I experienced with my knees, and it's one of many healings I've experienced. So if you'd like to know more about this, please drop by my website www.thehealingstream.org. Stream, STREAM. I'll put a link in the comment section of this video. And on that website, there's instructions for how you too can um, learn literally not so much to heal yourself, but become your own physician. That's what Bruno Groening said. Is he said everyone will learn to become their own physician through taking in this healing energy and through a few very simple principles of life, such as one of them, which I mentioned, is having faith and trust that things can heal, monitoring your thoughts, and some just really simple principles like that. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post below. Take care, much love, and What I've learned is miracles are actually real. But Bruno Groening said that they're not miracles. Actually, I'll read you a quote from how he said how healing actually happens. My healings are based on a force which is within the divine natural order and not by breaking the natural laws. So, in essence, what he said he was teaching people was how to live in harmony with what's natural and sacred. He said that that which is natural and that which is sacred are actually one and the same. And he taught very simple principles for how to do that. So, thank you so much for dropping by. Again, questions, comments, feedback, very welcome. And I wish you a day of many miracles. Take care. Much love.